Some moments split your life into a before and an after. Me, that moment came on a rainy Tuesday evening when Marcus Chin collapsed on the basketball court. His ankle twisted at an angle that made my stomach drop. But the injury wasn't what changed everything. It was what he whispered to me 3 hours later. In his apartment, his dark eyes softer and more vulnerable than I had ever seen. Stay with me tonight. Please. I don't want to be alone. My name is Tyler Bennett. And this is the story of how one night turned into something much deeper than either of us expected. The gym smelled like sweat, rubber, and determination. Our community league team, the downtown Drifters, had been training for months for the regional championships. Basketball had always been my escape, a steady rhythm that kept my mind focused. And my heart guarded, Marcus joined the team 8 months earlier after moving from Seattle. From the start, there was something about him: quiet confidence, calm energy. The kind that didn't demand attention, but naturally drew it. He was 27, a few years older than me. His jump shot was smooth, his defense sharp and precise. Off the court, he was reserved. He didn't talk much, but when he did, people listened. Small smiles, thoughtful words, the kind that made you lean in just to hear. More, I noticed him right away, but I kept my distance. I'd learned the hard way that getting too close to teammates, especially ones who seemed straight-only, led to awkward situations and heartbreak. So I stayed quiet, kept it professional, ignored the way my pulse sped up whenever he passed me the ball. "Bennett, heads up." Marcus's voice snapped me back. The ball flew toward, and Mike caught it instantly, pivoted, and sank a perfect three-pointer. "Nice shot," he said, jogging over with that small half-smile that always threw me off. His dark hair was damp with sweat, his gray jersey clinging slightly. I looked away. "Thanks." "That was a great pass," I replied casually, wiping my face with a towel. Coach Davis clapped loudly. "All right, one more run. Picandrel. Chen Benit. Show them how it's done." Marcus and I had an almost natural rhythm on the court. He knew when I'd cut left. I knew when he'd drive right. Everything just clicked. We took our positions. He dribbled forward, calm, controlled. I moved in to set the screen. For a brief second, our bodies brushed past each other. A spark shot through me. I pushed it down. He drove toward the basket, and then everything went wrong. There had always been a slightly damp spot near the paint. Someone had spilled water earlier. It had been wiped, but not completely. Marcus's foot landed right on it. His ankle twisted. A sharp crack echoed. Across the gym, he hit the floor hard. "Marcus." I was beside him before I even realized I had moved. His face was pale, his jaw tight as he grabbed his ankle. "Don't move," I said quickly, forcing my voice to stay steady. My first aid training kicked in. "Coach, call an ambulance." "Someone bring ice." Everything else blurred. All I could see was him. His breathing was uneven, controlled but strained. His hand reached out instinctively and grabbed mine. He held on tight. "It's bad, isn't it?" he asked. "We'll get it checked," I said carefully. "Just breathe. I'm here." Our eyes met, and for a moment, something unspoken passed between us. Something real. He didn't let go of my hand. Not when the paramedics arrived. Not when they examined him. Not even when they lifted him onto the stretcher. "Will you come with me?" he whispered. "To the hospital?" "Of course," I said immediately. "I'm not leaving." The emergency room felt endless. Bright lights. Cold chairs. Time moving painfully slow. I sat outside his room, still in my practice clothes, answering messages from teammates without even thinking. 3 hours later, a doctor finally came out. Severe sprain. No fracture. Relief hit me like a wave, but he'd need rest. Crutches. Time to heal. When I finally saw him, Marcus sat quietly on the bed, his ankle wrapped. Frustration clear on his face. "Hey," I said softly. "I feel stupid," he muttered. "One mistake, and I'm out." The championship doesn't matter, I said gently. You do. He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw fear behind his calm exterior. Tyler, I can't manage alone, he admitted. My apartment. No elevator. No family here. I don't know what to do. You'll stay with me, I said instantly. No debate. He hesitated. Are you sure? Yeah, I said firmly. You're not alone in this. It's at his apartment. I helped him up 3 painful flights of stairs. We packed a small bag, just the essentials. Then he paused. Wait, said quietly, pointing to a drawer. Inside was a photo. Marcus stood with an older couple, all smiling under the Seattle skyline. My parents, he said softly. They passed away 2 years ago. I didn't speak. I just listened. I still talk to them sometimes, he added. I know it sounds strange. It doesn't, I said gently. Not at all, gave a small, grateful smile. Back at my apartment, it was past midnight. I set him up in the guest room, comfortable, quiet, simple. If you need anything, I'm right here, I told him. Tyler, he said, lightly touching my wrist. Thank you. You don't need to thank me, I replied softly. That night, I couldn't sleep, knowing he was just across the hall. Hurt, vulnerable, trusting me, it stayed with me. I told myself it was just concern, but deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. Morning came too quickly. I barely slept. I was making coffee when I heard it. Crutches, slow, uneven. Then a quiet curse. I turned. Marcus stood in the doorway, unsteady, hair messy, wearing simple clothes that somehow made it hard to look away. What are you doing? I asked, moving toward him. You should have called me. I'm fine, he insisted. But then his crutch slipped. He stumbled. I caught him. We froze, my arms around him. His hands gripping my shoulders, too close, too real. New rule, I said quietly. You ask for help. I'm not good at that, he admitted. You'll learn, I replied. I helped him sit. I just wanted coffee. Maybe breakfast, he said. I don't want to be a burden. You're not, I said firmly. Soon, I was cooking. He sat nearby, pretending to check his phone, but I could feel his eyes on me. We talked about his work as a graphic designer, about the team, about random things that slowly made everything feel normal, easy, comfortable, and maybe something more with every answer, every small detail. The careful distance between us slowly began to fade. You didn't have to take me in, Marcus said suddenly as I placed a loaded breakfast burrito in front of him. You barely know me outside of basketball. I sat across from him with my own plate, choosing my words carefully. Maybe that's true, I said. But sometimes you understand someone in the ways that matter. You show up early to every practice. You stay late to help the newer players. You listen more than you speak. And you order pineapple on pizza, which, by the way, is the correct choice no matter what anyone says. He laughed, Triel, surprised, warm. You noticed all that? I notice everything about you, I thought. But instead I smiled. I pay attention. It's part of being a good teammate. His eyes locked onto mine, searching for something deeper. Is that all we are? He asked quietly. Teammates. The question hung between us, heavier than it should have been. We're friends, I said carefully. At least, I hope we are. Yeah, he said softly, something unreadable passing across his face. Friends. We finished eating in silence, but the word stayed with me. Friends, something between us had changed. Sunlight filtered through the window, catching in Marcus's dark hair. I found myself holding on to the moment, the quiet comfort, the shared space, the way he somehow made my home feel. Fuller, after breakfast, I helped him back to the guest room. He insisted on working from his laptop, even though I told him to rest. I left him there and went back to my office, trying to focus on my own work, but my mind kept drifting. Back to him around noon. I checked on him again. He was asleep. His laptop was still open beside him. His face calm in a way I hadn't seen before. No guarded expression. No tension, just peace. I quietly moved the laptop aside and pulled a light blanket over him. Then I stood there. Longer than I should have, just watching him breathe. Friends, I reminded myself. That's what he needed. Not someone losing control of their feelings. But when I closed the door behind me, I couldn't ignore the truth anymore. What I felt for. Marcus Chen had gone far beyond simple admiration. It had become something deeper. Something that both excited me and scared me, and I had no idea what to do about it. 3 days into living together, I knew more about Marcus than I had in 8 months of practice. I learned that he hummed completely off-key when he thought. No one was listening, that he put way too much sugar in his coffee, and that behind his quiet personality was a dry, self-aware sense of humor that caught me off guard every time. I also learned that being this close to someone you're slowly falling for was its own kind of beautiful torture. By Wednesday afternoon, we were sitting on the couch, watching old championship highlights. His injured ankle rested carefully on a pillow in my lap. His recovery routine had strict instructions, and somehow, I'd become his unofficial caretaker. "You don't have to do all this," Marcus said again, as I adjusted the ice pack. "I can handle some of it." "I know you can," I replied, keeping my voice steady despite everything I was feeling. "But you don't have to. That's the point." He studied me closely. "Why are you so good at this?" he asked. "Taking care of people." "Most guys would have dropped me off with frozen food and called it a day." I paused, my hand resting lightly against his ankle. "My mom was a hospice nurse," I said. "I grew up watching her take care of people during their hardest moments. She always said real strength isn't about never needing help. It's about being brave enough to accept a hand, kind enough to offer it without expecting anything back." "She sounds incredible," Marcus said softly. "She is," I corrected with a small smile. "She lives in Arizona now. Spends her days gardening and complaining about the heat." I hesitated for a moment, then added, "She'd like you." "Why do you think that?" he asked. "Because she always respected people who were real. People who didn't pretend to be something they're not." I met his eyes briefly, then looked away. "That's you." The air between us shifted again, quieter, heavier, more honest. Marcus opened his mouth to respond, but my phone buzzed. A message from Coach Davis. The team was asking about him. They wanted to visit over the weekend. I showed him the message. His expression changed immediately. "You don't want them to come?" I asked gently. "It's not that," he said, running a hand through his hair. I was starting to recognize that as a sign of stress. "I just don't want people seeing me like this. I hate feeling dependent." "You're not weak," I said firmly. "Your healing doesn't feel that way." I understood that feeling more than I wanted to admit. "What if I tell them to wait?" I offered. "We can plan something when you're feeling better." Relief softened his expression. "Would you?" "I know it sounds dumb. It's not dumb. It matters to you," I replied to the message and set my phone aside. "They care about you," I added. "No one's judging." "I know," he sighed. "I'm just not used to needing people." "Is that why you moved here?" I asked gently. "After your parents?" He looked at me, surprised. "How did you figure that out?" "You said you wanted a fresh start. But sometimes starting over and running away look the same." He went quiet. For a moment, I thought I'd said too much, but then he exhaled. "After they passed away, everyone treated me like I was fragile," he said. "They meant well, but it felt overwhelming. So I left, took a contract here. I told myself I was being independent. But independence doesn't mean being alone," I said softly. "No," he admitted. "It doesn't." He paused. "I think I forgot how to let people in. Until now." "Until now?" I asked. "Until you," he said. My heart started racing. "Until you showed up when I needed help," he continued. "Until you let me stay here. Until you treated me like a person, not a problem." His voice softened. "You made it feel safe again. The space between us felt different now, closer, real." "Marcus." I know I'm not saying this perfectly," he said quickly, a faint blush rising. "I just mean, thank you. For everything. For seeing me. For being here. For He gestured lightly between us. Whatever this is, ever. This is the word stayed in the air between us, full of meaning, full of possibility. I wanted to say everything, wanted to tell him how I felt, wanted to close the distance between us, but instead, all I managed was, "You're welcome." Marcus stayed quiet for a moment, turning a piece of bell pepper in his hands like he was searching for the right words. The kitchen was calm. The soft sound of cooking, light rain outside, his steady breathing. Then he spoke again. "Tyler, there's something else." I set the knife down and gave him my full attention. "Okay," I said gently. "Tell me." He hesitated. "I don't want this," he said, gesturing between us, "to feel temporary, like something that only exists because of this situation." My heart skipped. "Marcus," I said softly, "this doesn't feel temporary to me." "I know," he said, exhaling slowly, "and that's what scares me." He looked at me again, "Because I think I'm starting to fall for you." Faster than I expected. I stepped closer, leaning lightly against the counter beside him. "There's no timeline for feelings," I said quietly. "There's only what's real." It's time when our eyes met. He didn't look away. "What's real," he said quietly, "is that being with you feels like the first time I've truly been able to breathe in years. And that scares me. Because you matter so much." My throat tightened. I gently brushed my fingers along his cheek, wanting him to feel the reassurance he wasn't ready to believe yet. "Maybe that's exactly why it's worth it," I said softly. He leaned into my touch just a little, but enough to send warmth through my chest. "We'll figure this out," I promised. "No pressure. No expectations. Just us." Marcus let out a breath that sounded like relief. "Okay," he whispered. "Okay." We finished cooking in a quiet, comfortable rhythm, stealing small glances at each other, like two people still learning how to admit what they felt. When dinner was ready, we sat together at the table. It felt different, like something had changed, even if neither of us said it out loud. Halfway through, Marcus set his fork down. "Tyler, can I ask you something a little personal?" "Always," I said. He hesitated. "Were you ever afraid to be with a man? Not just telling people, but emotionally?" I thought about it for a moment. "Yeah," I admitted. "Not because I didn't want it, but because letting someone truly see your fears, your flaws, that's always scary. No matter who it is." Tona. Marcus nodded slowly. "That's what scares me," he said. "Wanting this. Wanting you?" And my chest tightened. "You don't have to be perfect," I said gently. "You just have to be honest with yourself and with me." He reached across the table, linking his pinky with mine. It was such a small gesture, but somehow it meant everything. "Okay," he whispered. "Honest." We finished dinner like that, hands lightly connected, both of us quietly aware of every glance, every breath. Later, after cleaning up, we moved back to the couch. His ankle rested on a pillow. I sat close enough that our shoulders touched. He didn't pull away. "I like this," he said softly. "Which part?" "All of it. The normal things, talking, eating together, just being here with you." I smiled. "Good," I said quietly. "Because I'm not going anywhere?" He let out a soft laugh and leaned his head against my shoulder. "I'm really glad you took me home that night," he whispered. I pressed a gentle kiss to the top of his hair. "Me too." We stayed like that until he fell asleep against me, his breathing slow and steady. I carefully adjusted him so he could rest comfortably as I started to stand. His fingers wrapped loosely around my wrist even in sleep, like he didn't want to let go, so I stayed because I didn't want to let go either. Later that night, something shifted between us. Quiet, subtle, but impossible to ignore, I have to admit. Marcus said with a faint teasing smile, "You being this close? It's a little distracting." I laughed softly, the tension easing just enough. "Good to know," I replied. Then more seriously I added, "I mean it, Marcus. You don't have to pretend around me." He didn't answer right away, but something in his expression softened. "Tyler, you don't know how much that means." The air between us felt different. Now, Warmer, closer, real. I reached up and brushed a strand of hair away from his forehead. My hand lingered. He didn't move away. If anything, he leaned closer. Tonight, he said quietly, I just need to feel safe. You are, I replied. With me, you always are. His hand found mine, his thumb moving slowly, absent-mindedly. A simple touch, but it said everything. Tyler, come here. I moved closer. He gently held my face, his eyes searching mine. Can I? He asked softly. You can, I whispered. He leaned in. The kiss was soft, careful, uncertain, but real, like something new, something meaningful. Just beginning, everything else faded away. The world, the noise, the past, there was only us. Stay, he whispered. I'm here, I said. As long as you need. What followed wasn't rushed. It wasn't overwhelming. It was quiet, built on trust, on patience, on understanding, just two people learning each other slowly. Later, we lay side by side. The earlier tension replaced by calm warmth. Marcus traced small patterns along my arm that he said with a soft smile was unforgettable. Laughed quietly. That's a big statement. He smiled. Okay, maybe just really special. I pulled him a little closer, careful of his ankle. Thank you, he added, for making it feel safe. You don't need to thank me, I said. We're just figuring things out. He nodded, his eyes growing heavy with sleep. I want to know everything about you, he murmured. You will, I said softly. We've got time. Monday evening at practice felt like stepping into a different life. But somehow, it felt right. Marcus had been cleared for light training. Not full contact yet, but enough to move, enough to feel like himself again. I drove us there. You ready? I asked. For practice, or for telling them. He replied with a nervous smile. Both. He took a breath. Yeah, I'm ready. Watching him back on the court felt like watching him come back to life, when he made a clean shot and smiled. It felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. Looking good, Chen? Coach Davis called. Take it easy. Yes, coach. Marcus glanced at me, and the look in his eyes said everything at the end of practice during the huddle. He stepped forward. I want to say something. The team went quiet. Most of you know I got injured, he began. But what you don't know is that Tyler helped me through it. Let me stay with him. Took care of me. Few teammates smiled. Marcus looked at me, then steadied himself. Somewhere along the way, things changed. We became more than teammates. He paused. Tyler and I are together. And I wanted you to hear it from me. Because I'm not hiding something that makes me happy. Silence. 1 second 2. Then finally, Jake shouted. I was about to lock you two in a room. The team burst into laughter. Coach Davis stepped forward, placing a hand on Marcus's shoulder. Proud of you, he said. Both of you. He looked around. This team is a family. That doesn't change. Marcus let out a breath, smiling at me. And in that moment, everything felt right. Later, sitting quietly with medals resting against our chests. The noise of celebration echoing outside, Marcus leaned closer. Can we stay like this a little longer? He asked. Of course, I said. We earned it. He smiled softly. A few months ago, I thought everything was falling apart, he said. Now, I feel like I found something I didn't even know I needed. I brushed my thumb across his cheek. Sometimes life surprises you. It really does, he said. Ready to go back out there? I asked. He grinned. Only if you're with me. Always. We walked out together, hand in hand. The team cheered. Some teased. Coach just smiled. But Marcus didn't let go. Not even for a second. Later, the after party, surrounded by noise and laughter, Marcus leaned closer. Tyler. Yeah. He smiled, soft, certain. This is just the beginning, isn't it? I looked at him, at everything we'd become, and for the first time, I didn't hesitate. Yeah, I said. It is. I want all of this, he said softly. All of us. Not just for tonight. Not just for this season. I want something real. Something lasting. I want a future with you. My chest tightened, warm and full. Good, I replied quietly, because I want that too. His smile softened, steady, certain. Then it's decided, he said. This is only the beginning. Under the glow of the championship lights, surrounded by the people who had become our family, we sealed that promise with a kiss, honest, fearless, real, not just a celebration, something deeper, something meant to last. The moment we stepped inside, the celebration pulled us in. Music filled the room. Someone opened a bottle of sparkling cider. Laughter echoed everywhere as bits of confetti drifted through the air. Marcus's name was being called from every direction, but when his eyes met mine, everything else faded. "You're really sure about this?" I asked quietly. "Moving in together? Building a life?" He squeezed my hand under the table, firm, reassuring. "I've never been more sure of anything," he said. "You think I'd trust just anyone with my terrible sleeping habits?" I laughed. "Terrible? That's not sleeping. That's a full-on storm." He nudged me, smiling. "Then it's our storm now." And somehow, that simple moment settled something deep inside me. The team pulled Marcus into a loud, chaotic retelling of the game, everyone talking over each other, replaying every moment like it was the greatest story ever told. Even then, he kept looking back at me. Every glance said the same thing. "I'm still here, with you always." Later, when the crowd started to thin, he caught my eye and nodded toward the hallway. "Come on," he said. "I need a quiet minute before my head explodes." We slipped away, leaving the noise behind. "This," he said, turning to face me. "This is what I want. The quiet moments. Just us." I gently held his face. "We'll have that. Every day." He leaned into my touch. His expression soft, he said, voice low. "I thought the turning point in my life was getting injured." "It wasn't," I said quietly. "No," he agreed. "The real turning point was realizing that losing basketball scared me less than losing you." The words settled deep inside me. Calm, certain, real. I stepped closer, resting my forehead against his. "You're not losing me," I whispered. "Not now. Not ever." He smiled, a small, warm smile. "Even after we ruin your kitchen trying to cook." I laughed softly, especially then. We stood there for a long moment, wrapped in something steady and unbreakable. Then he whispered, "Let's start our life, tonight." I asked. He shook his head gently. Right now, hand in hand, we walked back into the lights. The laughter, the life waiting for us, and this time, nothing felt uncertain. Nothing felt unfinished. This wasn't just love. This was home. Later that night, walking together under the glow of city lights, our fingers intertwined. Everything felt lighter, clearer, real, and I realized something. Some moments divide your life into a before and an after. The accident, the quiet mornings, the first touches, the first time we chose each other, those were all part of the before. But this feeling, this certainty, this life we were building together, this was the after. And for the rest of our lives, we would keep choosing it together. Because real love isn't about perfect timing or perfect conditions. It's about courage, about opening your heart, trusting someone with it, and building something meaningful step by step, side by side, and somehow, we had done exactly that.